Greetings, viewers. I was having a conversation with one of the local guys here the other day about what a special place Hawaii is. And, I've talked about this before, so I probably won't go into why it's special. I think most people on the planet actually know that. That's one reason that everybody comes here on vacation and enjoys it. It really is a very special place. But that got me thinking about special places. And I realized, probably no matter where you are, in a way, every place is special just because the universe is such an amazing thing. The clockwork of the earth rotating, going around the sun, the moon counterbalancing it, the rains coming, and so on. It's all pretty amazing when you get down to thinking about what we have here and what would happen if we didn't have it. But that said, and past the obvious that everything's amazing, no matter where you live, there's always a special place. There's probably as many reasons why a place is special as there are people who make that judgment about a place. But speaking from my own personal experience, there are places in my life, I guess you could say, are special due to their spiritual qualities and so on. But by and large, when I'm assessing situations around me and trying to decide what place means more to me than another place might, usually I'm looking at climates and soils, growing conditions. I mean, naturally, right? I'm the garden guy. And so these will be the places that are really special, places that have very special and rare plant communities. When I discovered a prairie remnant in Illinois, for instance, when I was a young man, that was really special. If I think back, say, for instance, to living in the upper Midwest in Wisconsin, growing season up there was pretty short. It was a fairly cold environment. We didn't have a lot of time to crank out a crop of tomatoes, eggplants, or melons, that's for sure. But parts of the farm I had contained a sandy loam soil referred to as Santiago sand loam. It was probably first named in Santiago, Chile, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, it was in Wisconsin, and I had a reasonable deposit of this soil that was on 140 on the property and on this dome of this south-facing hill. And so gardeners, you all know that sandy loam soils are really kind of a blessing. They're easy to dig. They drain real well. They don't become muddy. There's lots of room for roots like potatoes and carrots to expand in them. They generally warm up faster in spring than heavier clay type soils. So there's a lot of advantages when you have a sandy loam deposit on a property. And so I used to take advantage of that. That was a special place for me, the knob of that hill there. It was warm, it was sunnier, it opened up earlier in the spring. The snow came off the spot even earlier because of its exposure. It was special. I was up against the wall of my barn. The barn wall was all stone masonry. And along the south side of it, I could plant early crops and then put storm windows up against the stone barn wall and make a solar collector with thermal mass. It was a special place, over on the far western side of the county I lived in, along the Chippewa River near the town of Bruce. In general, that type of sandy loam that I had was much more pervasive in that area. The western side had a lot of that stuff, and they had better growing conditions because of it. They also had a slightly longer growing season. Reasons for that, I don't know, but they did. It was a little longer. My crops would be frozen off in the northeast, but the southwestern end of the county would still have, green crops in the fields. And so I it was special. I used to kind of, envy this, and in fact, eventually I did buy myself 40 acres on that side of the county that had the soil, and on and on and on, and well, if time had been different, I'd probably gotten something done with it. But as it was a special place that I don't have anymore. But yeah, see, literally any place, no matter where you live, there's always something about certain spots, for instance, that, they call microclimates. You have soil conditions, as I said, with the sandy loam, but then you also have these microclimates. Like I was getting on the south wall of my barn, where there was thermal mass from the rocks, a dark soil, and the wind was broke from the north, and so on. These special places where you can do things that you ordinarily wouldn't. If you live in California, for instance, in the Bay Area, and the climate, it's pretty good climate, but it can get cold. But if you do things right, you can grow a lot of crops and plants that you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise in the general environment by choosing special places. I used to identify them in my own yard by going out at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, when it was cold in the winter and there was a frost settled. I'd look out the window and I'd see frost on my car windshield. It was time to get my shoes on and go out for a walk around the yard, because what I would almost always find is there was a consistent pattern of where did frost settle, where did frost not settle. I actually had places in the yard where under most circumstances frost would never settle. These were factors controlled by overhanging evergreen avocado, the south wall of building, things like that. But generally, there'd be something overhanging that would trap the air at night, so it continued circulating instead of escaping into space. And so here we'd have these little special places where we had microclimates, where we could do things that I couldn't do 15 feet away. Maybe that is entirely possible in the Bay Area. Some of our microclimates are like that. So there you have it, folks. Just a little talk about special places. As we all know, Hawaii is one of them. Talk about climates. We supposedly have 9 out of the 11 climatic zones that exist on this planet, on this one tropical island. Pretty amazing, I think. There's a whole lot of stuff that makes us special here. Take a look. See what you can find around your house that's special. Let me know if you got a special place. Stick it in the comments. Aloha, folks. Hang loose.